Hi, my name is Joshua Etchegoyen, and I'm going to be doing my term project on how public policy can influence sustainability. So, starting off, the Biden administration's plan on environmental and public policy against climate change. A little bit about that. In December 2021, Biden signed an executive order directing the US government to cut its own emissions by 65% by 2030, with different measures including energy efficiency, electric vehicles, and renewable energy. So, a little bit about the topic is what the Biden administration is currently doing to fight climate change is overall the final target of the administration is reaching carbon neutrality in the United States by 2050. Joe Biden sees climate change as an existential threat, a view supported by most in the scientific community. During his inauguration, Biden said, "A cry for survival comes from the planet itself, a cry that can't be any more desperate or any more clear." So, moving on, the Biden administration's public policy plan to reduce climate change. There's about four topics I'd like to discuss here. So, starting with number one is the reduce of social cost of carbon, known as greenhouse gas emissions. So, in order to reduce the societal cost of emissions from industries across the United States, Biden is working towards the innovative strategy, which is the Biden administration has increased the price of carbon emissions from $10 per ton of emissions released from industries, now is $50 per ton. So, moving on to the second topic is the Infrastructure Investments and Job Acts. So, this act will sustain Americans across America to access the roads, bridges, and rails, expand access to clean drinking water, ensure every American has access to high speed internet, and tackle the climate crisis, and advance environmental justice, and invest in communities that have too often been left behind. By enacting this law, our generation will be able to build a more solid and long lasting family unit in the United States. Moving on to the third topic, I'd like to discuss, which would be the Build Back Better Act. So, the Biden administration has pushed forward within the last year. This act will help the middle working class with financial support for food and childcare services. The middle class worker will benefit from spending less than 7% of their salary on childcare as a result of this act. So, moving on to the fourth topic and the last topic would be the Inflation Reduction Act. So, this act will help and support workers and families within the American economy. The Inflation Reduction Act decreases the cost of prescription medications, healthcare, and electricity. This will also help American workers and provide union jobs that are well paying and all around the nation. So, moving on, understanding the implications and why it's so important, Biden ordered the Director of National Intelligence, Avril Haines, to prepare a report about the impacts of climate change. Biden also included John Kerry, the climate envoy, in the National Security Council. He created a national climate task force and the White House Office of Domestic Climate Policy. He said, and I quote, "In my view, we've always waited too long to deal with the climate crisis, and we can't wait any longer. We see it with our own eyes, we feel it, we know it in our bones, and it's time to act." He also mentioned that climate action is linked to other aspects of his agenda, such as health, jobs, and security. So, on to some visual aids I like to discuss. So, this is just some sustainable development goals. So, some of them would be no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry, innovation, and infrastructure, reduce inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water and life on land, peace, justice, and strong institutions, and partnerships for goals. So these are all things that Biden administration is working towards and what I've previously stated. Some other sustainable priorities that the Biden administration is going to be working towards is trillions of trees and ecosystem restoration, education and mobilization, innovation, regulation and policy, emission reduction, and carbon removal. So I'd like to conclude this presentation and give you guys a big thank you. In conclusion, the key policies that the Biden administration has put in place, has begun to put in place, will aid in the development and shaping of the next generation in the United States for better and more sustainable living in the near future. The future president should be inspired to continue these initiatives in order to confront the global climate crisis that the world is currently facing. In retrospect, this research has taught us that America should always put the environment first and should continue creating legislations that will benefit its people and the communities in which they reside and the environment as a whole. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope you guys learned a little bit about what Biden has been doing in office lately that will help sustain a better environment. Thank you.